Hi, and welcome to this third explainer instructional video on CamoHide. During this video, we will look on how to adapt or change CamoHide so it blends perfectly with the background and conceals your trail camera so that it becomes almost completely invisible and undetectable to humans. We will do this in three sections. Firstly, we will look at the factors that makes an object visible and how those factors was addressed by the use of CamoHide. Secondly, we will look on how to change and adapt CamoHide so it blends perfectly with your tree. And then thirdly, we will test those changes. Before we can continue, please accept my apologies for noise. I am doing this in my backyard, so we've got aeroplanes coming over, cars going by, dogs barking, etc. Also, my audio might be soft at some stages. I'm not using professional audio equipment. And then thirdly, my language, I do apologize. I am Afrikaans speaking, not English, so I do have a couple of tongue twisters in English. Any contrast between a concealed object and its background will make it more visible. CamoHide addresses most of the factors, such as the shape, unwanted shadows, shine, but then we've got one problem: color. We need to adapt the color on this CamoHide so that it blends perfectly with the tree. During our how-to, we will show you how to change the color by the use of spray paints. There might be a couple of different reasons why you need to change the CamoHide. You might be using CamoHide with a bark structure similar to your tree but in a different color, or you might be using CamoHide of the same species, but there are differences between the color we provide you with and also the color of the trees where you are, due to reasons for exposure to sun, dust, rain, etc. Also, whether you put your camera on the northern side or the southern side. Okay, so this is our how-to section. During this section, we will show you how to adapt the color of your CamoHide so that it matches the tree as close as possible. I have picked a couple of pieces of bark from the tree to try and match it as close as possible to these bark pieces. These bark pieces are picked of different areas from the tree so that I get a good idea of what the change should be. Before we continue, let me first show you what paints we're using. Currently we're using the Rust-Oleum camouflage spray paint series or range, such as this one, Earth Brown, this one, Army Green, this one is called Khaki, this one is called Forest Green, and then there are two other colors which we also use. It's called Rust-Oleum Chalked Ultra Matte Cocoa Bean and also Rust-Oleum Ultra Matte Country Grey. With these paints, you can go into the field and change your CamoHide to whatever color to match your tree. First thing we will be looking at is shading. Now, the shade would be a scale between black and white. The difference between black and white between the physical bark and the CamoHide. If you look at this bark and you look at this bark, the CamoHide is just too dark. We're going to change it, and to do so we use either the Country Grey or the Khaki, just to tune down the darkness. For this, I will be using the Khaki color. I will be spraying evenly, but I'm not trying to cover the entire CamoHide in Khaki. I'm only trying to bring it down to a lighter shade. I'm spraying from about 1 foot away, not too close and not too far either. I'm going to turn my CamoHide around to the other side just so that I can get an even cover. Remember, as I said, I don't want it to be completely khaki. Start matching again. You will now see that we need a bit more of a brown color. So we've tuned down the shading. Now we need a bit more of a brown color, a brown together with maybe some dark green. If I look at this one, but it's not a dark brown. It would be this cocoa bean. Now this is where we have to start spraying from further away just to get the shade correct. You will see this almost matches up, this part of the bark, which is quite predominant on the bark, but we need some more brown. So let's add some of this. I'll be spraying from about 1.5 feet away. Just some strokes. We're not trying to make it completely brown. Just trying to tune up the brown color. Going to do the same from this side. Okay. Do another match. Have a look at those parts on the bark and these parts on the bark. I'm going to add a bit of army green and also a bit of the dark forest green. But this I'm only doing in stripes. I'm not going to do it in a full cover. Darker army forest green. Okay. Match again. You see that the match is coming up. The artificial light in my garage might actually show a different result from what I'm getting with my eye. This one almost disappears. This one is not very far off. I think just a bit of the khaki again. But this time I'll be spraying about 2 feet away, and I will be, instead of spraying straight down, I'll be spraying so that the spray goes over and only highlights the top areas. Turn it around again. That looks very nice. If I look at it with the eye, this color, don't aim on this one, look at that, it blends perfectly. Take another piece of bark. We've got a very good blend now. We can actually start working with this CamoHide. Alright, I'm going to put a last spray onto it again with the cocoa bean. Also, same as I've done with the khaki, just from about a foot and a half away, and I'm spraying over. I'm not spraying into it. Spraying from the top. Last match, perfect match. Okay, looking at this one, or any of the others, let's try getting them there. Well, that's about as close as we're going to get, but that's good enough to fool any eye. I believe that should do the job perfectly. Test it in different areas on your CamoHide, especially on the edges, because those are the areas which must blend perfectly. Okay, so to wrap up, when you get your CamoHide, decide on whether you want it a bit darker or a bit lighter to match your sample. If you decide that it should go down, use one of the lighter spray paints, such as the Country Grey or the khaki color. If you need to tune it up, it must become darker, you can use the earth brown color or some of the dark green. We prefer using the darker earth brown. Highlighting. For highlighting, we usually use the Country Grey and the khaki. And for coloring in, you would be using the cocoa bean and the army green. So that's our CamoHide. It's now, we've adapted the camouflage on it. Let's go test it on our tree. Okay, so we've completed the camouflage and the spray paint. I've reattached the CamoHide to the tree and over the camera. It looks very nice. I think we're very happy with that. A good way to test whether it works is to look just past the tree into the background, squint your eyes, stand about 3 or 5 meters back. If you see anything then on the blind side of your eye, like maybe a shadow or anything sticking out, you will need to attend to those things to adjust your camouflage. This looks quite nice. I'm very happy with that. Thank you very much for watching. Next time.